Okay, how am I gonna start this? Hello everyone, it's your girl Luna here, and for those of you who don't know, I am from the UK. I am a part of the country England. Born and raised. Love that. Um, so there's like one thing that I love about being part of this country, and that is Doctor Who. It sounds like there's nothing good about this country. There are some great things about this country, but one of my all-time favorite shows, any one of my all-time favorite TV shows out there, is Doctor Who. The rewatchability is great. Majority of the episodes are great if you ignore some of the newer seasons. Ignore that. So I was like, oh, I want to do a Doctor Who episode of tier lists. And I was just like, oh, what Doctor Who tier list do we have? And now we're here. This is all the episodes in the ninth Doctor Who's series. I'm gonna say the ninth Doctor is the ninth Doctor. This is the Doctor that is played by the ninth Doctor is played by Christopher Eccleston. Don't roast me on that. He was the first Doctor in the show's revival in 2005. There was Doctor Who before this revival. There were 8 Doctors in previously. But I'm not sure what happened, but they stopped doing it for like a number of years. I think the reception got bad at the end because people had mixed feelings over some of the Doctors there. But the show was revived, and Christopher Eccleston was our first Doctor, our ninth Doctor of this revival. So very, very big thing. Now, the unfortunate thing about the ninth Doctor that you guys probably don't know, the season with the ninth Doctor is quite short. It is quite short. Altogether, the ninth Doctor had 13 episodes. 10 stories, 13 episodes. And we are gonna rate all those episodes. So I'm going to be warning you, it has been a while since I've watched the ninth Doctor season. I remember some great episodes here, like I remember The Empty Child. I remember Bad Wolf, and I remember Rose and Father's Day. The others, I think The End of the World as well. But the others, I don't really have like a clear picture of what's about them. So I have Wikipedia opened here to give me descriptions of these episodes, and hopefully I remember so I can rate them correctly. Anyway, let's get up to the first episode. So we're actually starting at the end of the series for the ninth Doctor. So spoilers ahead if you guys want to watch the ninth Doctor's season. Please do before watching this. We're starting at the end because that's how they the person who made this formatted this. So this is the 13th episode, and I just read the little description on Wikipedia, and I do remember it. Because I remember the emotional moment at the end. Okay, the Partying of the Ways. Partying of the Ways is the ending of the ninth Doctor season, and it's emotional. It's very emotional. You believe a certain character is dead. You finally get the ending of Rose's story with Bad Wolf. It's a really, really strong ending. It's very dramatic. You get a good sort of like moral debate within the Doctor at the end with the Daleks. It's a banger of an episode. I will give it that. I think it's a bit slow in the beginning, but at the end of the episode, it really, really brings it to that finality. I'm gonna go with that, okay? So the 13th episode I do have to say, it is a fantastic episode. It's very dramatic in the end. It does bring out the tears. I will admit, I remember crying while watching it because the last thing he says before he regenerates is one of like, it's so lovely. It's so lovely, especially when it's addressed to Rose. It's so nice. It is nice. I do actually really like the ending. It is very nice. It is very, very, very nice. I just remember like the moral debate that the Doctor has with himself about whether he should exterminate all the Daleks or not. Because of course he has that past, which I will probably allude to. But he has that past. Am I going to allude to it? No, I'm just going to say he's thinking about the Time Wars. So it's a very, very nice episode morally. And it's very, very dramatic, and you do get the emotions jerking. So I will have to put it up fantastic. Now, the Aliens of London. Okay, so this is the 4th episode in the series. And this introduces one of the most iconic aliens. One of the most iconic aliens in the Doctor Whoverse, which is the Slovenes. If you guys don't know what the Slovenes is, Editor Luna, put a picture up now, if I have time to. So Slovenes are very notorious in the Doctor Who universe, as they make multiple appearances in Sarah Jane Smith, a spin-off of Doctor Who, which was highly successful. Rip. Rest in peace. So this isn't like a complete story episode. This is part 1, along with another episode that we'll later get into probably. But this is an introduction of the Slovenes, and actually introduces the character Harriet Jones, who is important in later episodes in Doctor Who universe. So yeah. Introduces an iconic alien. I appreciate that. However, it is only part 1 of like the story there. I don't really know what to say. I think the best way to explain it is that I appreciate the way they go about like how would the government react if there's a possibility of aliens being landed on Earth. But apart from that, it's an okay episode. I don't hate it. There are quite a couple of surprises that I like. But it's just very, It wouldn't be like an episode that I demand I'd rewatch. It's just, yeah, it's there. You know? Yeah, I can't really say more. Anyways, let's go to the next one. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest, I can't remember much from the Rose story, and the Wikipedia only cleared up the parts I remember. I don't really remember the aliens of the episode or the confrontation of the episode that much, but I do remember that it's the first episode of the series. This is the first episode of the revival, guys. So think of it like this. This first episode had a lot of pressure on it, because if this first episode failed, yeah, you get the drift there. Also, this first episode introduces Rose. Now, Rose is a very, very big name in the Doctor Who community. Rose is played by Billie Piper, who is very talented. And in my opinion, Rose is probably one of the most important companions in the whole Doctor Who universe, I'll be honest. So her introduction to the community was very big. Also, I just like the feel of her. She's just like a normal girl who's working a job in a clothing store and just wants to go about her day. But then she meets the Doctor and strange stuff happens. So I do like that. I can remember a couple of scenes about the episodes, not much. The main point here is that it's the first episode and you're introduced to the Doctor and to Rose Tyler for the first time. That's sort of like the main thing here that I'm thinking. I can't remember much, unfortunately. I'm gonna say it's good. I'm gonna say good. It's the first episode in the season. I unfortunately cannot remember a lot of it. But I can remember, like, the introductions of the characters. I remember that I believe that all the introductions to the characters were pretty solid. I think they were all pretty solid introductions there. Yeah, I'm not gonna say any more. Next one is The Empty Child. And here we go. The Empty Child is the 9th episode in the series. And in my opinion, is one of the best episodes in Doctor Who. I cannot tell you how much I adore The Empty Child. It is one of my all-time favorite episodes in Doctor Who. I'm sorry, it's gonna have to go and go. There's no real reason why I love this episode, but the storyline of The Empty Child and the Doctor dances is one of my favorite. It's a short story, but I really like it. I don't know why. Basically, the premise of the story is that Rose and the Doctor arrive in 1941 during the London Blitz. I hope you guys know your history from a basic degree and know the things that were going on there. But in this sort of like alternate universe of like, I'm just gonna say it, World War II in London, they noticed that the city is being terrorized by this child who is wearing a gas mask and is always asking for its mother. And they found out that anyone who touches the child gets a gas mask as well and keeps asking for a mother. And it's a very sort of like, it's a very sad story. I'm actually just gonna get the Doctor dances up here as well because I might as well. It's a very sad story when you think about it, because you find out who the mother is and you find out what exactly happens, and it's sad, but it's also so creepy. Like, I feel like a lot of people now just have a phobia of kids being creepy is immediately terrifying. Kids with creepy behavior, terrifying. And I believe this sort of like small story is the perfect encapsulation of this. Like, oh my god, I love The Empty Child. I love it. And also, this mini storyline introduces another character who has his own spin-off show from Doctor Who called Torchwood, and that is Captain Jack Harkness, who is played by John Barrowman. Barrowman. I'm sorry, I can't say your last name correctly. But Captain Jack Harkness is a reoccurring character for the 10th Doctor and the 9th Doctor. He is also a part of the Parting of the Ways. And this is his introduction episode as well, which I feel like introduced him relatively well. Yeah, we're not going to talk about Torchwood. I did watch Torchwood. I managed a season and a half, okay? Shush. Anyway, so I really like The Empty Child and Doctor Dances. It's such a good storyline. Like, I feel like it's sort of like underrated. I'm not sure how everyone feels in the fan base about the storyline, but I love it. It's one of my favorite two-part stories. I love it. Anyways, the next one is Bad Wolf. Now, this is a biggie. Now, this is the 12th episode of this season, and it's a two-parter with the partying of the ways. And I actually like this episode. I feel like some people had a bit sort of like mixed feelings, but I do enjoy it. Basically, the team, I'm going to call them a team. The Doctor, Captain Jack Harkness, and Rose basically get separated and teleported into these game shows that are in a satellite. Satellite game shows, I'm going to call them that. And the reason why I said Bad Wolf is interesting is because Bad Wolf, that word, is repeatedly shown to us all throughout the season. And this was like a big thing because Bad Wolf, because we finally find out sort of what Bad Wolf means in this episode, which, interesting. I feel like I was like confused and a bit disappointed. I feel like was my first impression, but I do like it. Like, it builds it up throughout the season, and then you get the answer, and then you get like the proper finished sort of like answer of it in the final episode of the season. So this is sort of like a big episode because it's part one of the final. And it sort of concludes the Bad Wolf storyline, kind of. The final episode actually does that. But it's also very, very fun episodes because there's a lot of sort of like game shows. So the game shows that we have here, I am actually going to... Okay, Rose is stuck in The Weakest Link. The Doctor is stuck in Big Brother. And Jack is stuck in What Not to Wear. So, it's a very sort of like fun episode till the end. It's a fun episode till the end. It is. It's very nice. I will have to put it next to its second parter because even though it's not emotional or as dramatic as the second parter, it's fun. It's like a very sort of like fun episode. I do enjoy it. It's interesting to see the Doctor and Big Brother. And The Weakest Link game show is brutal. Oh my lord, it's brutal. And Jack is just being a great character there. He's just there. We don't know. Okay, the next episode I have opinions on, so let's go. I don't need to read the description of this episode. I remember this episode for the wrong reasons, but Father's Day is the 8th episode in the season. And Father's Day, basically, this episode is very much a Rose episode. Rose convinces the Doctor to time travel back to the day that Rose's father, Pete, died in 1987. And what does she does? She intervenes in her father's death, making it so he doesn't die. So then these dangerous Reapers attack, and the only way they can stop attacking is if Pete dies. So. This episode is very much a Rose character episode. It's very much developmental. And it's also a good episode because it tells you that there are consequences for changing timelines. There are consequences. More importantly, there are creatures who will deal out those consequences. So I am of the opinion that I don't really care for this episode. I'm going to be honest, I don't care for it. I don't really have a solid reason to not care for it. It's a developmental issue. It's very important to Rose's character. But I also kind of didn't like how Rose was betrayed in this episode, I believe. I don't believe I liked how she was portrayed. There was just something about this episode that just clicked with me the wrong way. It's probably the fact that it's a Father's Day episode. Let's not get into that. I don't know. There's just something about this episode that I didn't like. I can't remember what it was, but I don't care for this episode. I find it boring. like, I understand the impact of the episode. I understand, like, important details of the episode. However, I do find it boring. Which isn't a good thing. I don't know. It's bad. It's bad. if an episode bores me, I'm not gonna rewatch it again. I will probably skip it. I do remember myself skipping this episode a lot when I rewatched this season like 2 years ago. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. I know that there are some people who like this episode, but I believe the majority don't like this episode. I believe. I may be wrong there. Okay, so the end of the world introduces two kinda important characters. I say kind of. They are relevant in the 10th Doctor's series. They turn up again in that. And those characters are Lady Cassandra. She turns up again for like 2 episodes, I believe. It's a 2-part story, that one is. And then the Face of Boe, who turns up in 3 episodes in the 10th Doctor's series season. Now, this is the second episode to the first season. And in this episode, I'm trying to think now. In this episode, basically, the Doctor teleports Rose to 5 billion years in the future, where a bunch of alien delegates. Words are not working today. A bunch of rich aliens have come onto the spaceship to watch the world, to watch the destruction of Earth. Earth basically explodes. So yeah, there's that. That's like the main reason why he teleports. However, Lady Cassandra is being a cunning little bitch. And yeah, basically Cassandra does something bad. Everyone has to try and understand what's going on, and yada yada yada. There you go. It's basically like that. So, the end of the world. The end of the world introduces the Face of Boe. Okay. The Face of Boe is a very sort of like... It's not a touchy subject in the Doctor Who universe, but I feel like they could have done a bit more with it, but we aren't gonna go to that storyline. For the second episode of the first season, I do remember that I do enjoy it. It's nice to see like different groups of aliens, and it was actually very nice to see Lady Cassandra. Lady Cassandra in 5 billion years in the future is said to be the last human. And when you guys look up pictures of her, just think, she's proclaimed the last human. And she's basically a face on skin. That's it. So yeah. It's very sort of like nice, I believe. I can't remember like the proper sort of like middle story of like what Lady Cassandra does. All I know is that she's the villain. All I know is that she's the villain of the episode. I remember her face very well because it's kind of disturbing when you see it as a kid. It's just like, what's going on here? I am disturbed. But yeah, I do actually like the end of the world. I will put it next to Rose. I can't remember a big portion of the plot, kind of like I have with Rose. But I do remember its introduction to the Face of Boe and Lady Cassandra. And because of that, I am going to put it in good. I can't remember what happens. I'm so sorry. Fun fact, this is also the first episode in the revival to be set in the future. So yeah, a lot of SFX was used to make it look impressive. I do like it. I do like it. It's good. It's a good episode. I have nothing else to say for it. Okay, so Boomtown. Boomtown. Boomtown is the 11th episode in the series, and it's the third episode to feature the Slovenes. Boomtown is a very dialogue-heavy episode because it has this iconic scene of the Doctor dining with this Slovene, and basically it's a very sort of like moral dilemma conversation, like whether the Doctor should kill her or not, whether she deserves a second chance at life or not. It's that very much moral dilemma episode. It's very much that, especially to the Doctor. And for all you guys who are watching this that do not know the context of this Doctor, I'm going to say this Doctor, but it did carry on to the 10th Doctor as well. Basically, I'm going to set you a bit of a timeline here so that you can understand why this moral dilemma is very important. The Doctor has, in this timeline, just come out of a war where he blames himself for killing everyone in that war. He killed the Time Lords, he killed the whole Dalek race. It's a very, very huge moment in the Revival's timeline because they reference it a lot of the time. They reference this a lot of the time, and they actually have a huge movie called Day of the Doctor. I'm not sure. The Time Wars? I'm not sure what the movie is called, but I do have it, and I have watched it multiple times. Where basically the movie that introduces the 13th Doctor. Anyways, the Time War is a very, very touchy subject to the Doctor because, of course, he killed a whole species. He killed whole species. So this episode is very much more dilemma for this Doctor who's just come out of a war where he's basically killed millions, billions of beings. And it's a very nice episode because very sort of like very good for like the Doctor's character to like understand. At the end of the day, the Slovene does turn evil, kidnaps Rose, so then the Slovene can go back to her planet and bring an invasion. The TARDIS is just like, here you go. You are now an egg. You want a second chance at life? Be an egg. There you go. And they give the Slovene to a new family. There you go. I do like this episode. It's dialogue heavy. I think the ending is a bit but I do like it. It's sad that I'm putting most of the Slovene episodes are probably going to go in okay. But I think I'm going to put this one good. For the reason that Annette Badland plays Margaret Blaine, the Slovene, really well in this episode, and she is entertaining to watch. And this episode has huge moral dilemma. It's just a very nice episode. And then there's, of course, the consequences that Rose has with her love life and with her traveling, with the Doctor. It's a good episode. It's a good episode. I give it that. It's a good episode. Now, the long game is the 7th episode. The long game has very mixed reviews, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it's that well liked in the Doctor Who universe. I'll be honest, if I could choose right now, it would be an okay or bad. Yeah. I've read the storyline. I remember the storyline of this, and I still don't really care for the episode. It has very mixed reviews over it does. Basically, the Doctor and Rose and with who were joined by Adam Mitchell. They land on a satellite in the year 200,000. Satellite 5 is a space station and broadcasts news across the entire human empire. And it's sort of like a very sort of like work heavy sort of like satellite. And basically, yeah. Basically, if you get promoted to floor 500, you get eaten. Nice to know that. Basically, eating your employees. Love that, love that, love that. I don't know. I can't really say much about this episode. Yeah. This episode does involve Simon Pegg, who plays the editor, who basically like feeds and watch all the workers and just feeds the Jagrafess? Jagrafess? Is that the alien's name? Okay. So yeah. I'm sorry. No. Just no. I feel like it's one of those episodes that I would skip. I would skip it. I wouldn't be able to watch it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't watch it. Okay, welcome to the sequel of Aliens of London, which is World War III. Basically, the story of this is that the Savines that are on Earth want to sell Earth. They want to sell Earth for commercial purposes. So basically, the Savines have an idea. They've infiltrated Earth, and they plan to get the United Nations to release nuclear activation codes and then trigger them, which will then bring into about World War III on Earth, and they plan on selling the remains of Earth after this war. They had a solid plan, to be honest. It's okay. I feel bad because I pumped up the Savines as being one of the most iconic Doctor Who villains. And I myself am just like, yeah, it's okay. They're okay. Their episodes are okay. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Savines. I don't know why. This whole storyline was very much, yeah, okay. Can we carry on? It's watchable. It's fine to watch. It's fine to watch. I don't know. I just, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. That's all I can say. It's okay. I'm so sorry. It's an okay episode. It's an okay episode. It's okay. Okay, the Unquiet Dead. I don't know why I stuck on that. The Unquiet Dead is the third episode of the season, and I'll be honest, I didn't remember this episode at all. I didn't even remember it existed until I read the description, and I was like, oh yeah, that was an episode. This is the third episode in the season. It's okay. It's okay. I have no proper opinions on this episode. It's basically the Doctor and Rose team up with Charles Dickens, and they want to find out why are there zombies in Victorian Cardiff on Christmas Eve. And yeah, honestly, if you like the Victorian eras, you might like this episode. But yeah, there's no like proper sort of like moral dilemmas. It's basically a who done it and why and a how. It's basically all like a big sort of like mystery plot episode. It's not bad. It's not a bad episode on any standards. It's okay. It's okay. Like, I don't even remember this episode. So it's just like, okay. It's okay. It's okay. Will I rewatch this episode? Probably to remember what this episode was about fully. But apart from that, I don't think I would, like... Yeah, I'd watch it and I'd be like, oh, that was an episode. Next. So, yeah. That's it. That's it. Yeah. Okay, this is the final episode on the list, and is probably one of the most important episodes in the season. This is the 6th episode of the season, and it is called Dalek. Now, if you guys remembered earlier, I did say that the Doctor was in a time war where he destroyed or exterminated, pun intended, the whole Dalek race. And this is the episode where they find a Dalek, one of the last Daleks alive, who has been trapped on Earth as an artifact. A rich collector of alien artifacts trapped a Dalek in a bunker. This is a very sort of like interesting it's an interesting character. I believe the Dalek in this episode is very interesting. Like, he comes to terms with, like, his whole race is dead, and he didn't even know. He believes they're all alive until, like, the last minute, and he just accepts death at that point. It's a very strong episode. I believe it's a very strong episode because you just see the Doctor taunting this Dalek, showing a darker side of the Doctor. And at the end, he does respect the Dalek's wishes, and yeah, the Dalek dies in the end. It's a very interesting episode. And it's our first encounter with the Daleks in the revival of Doctor Who. And I believe that is one of the most important things. Because this is our first impression of the Daleks. In later episodes, they're a bit more extreme than this one. But I think this is a nice episode. It shows where their mentality is when it comes to living and dying and what's important. So I do really, really like this episode. I do. I'm going to put this episode on Fantastic. It's not GOAT. It's not GOAT like I think of The Empty Child as. But the Dalek episode is a very, very good episode. It's very, very strong. It's great for the Doctor's character. It's a great introduction to the Daleks. It's very emotional. It is very emotional. Especially if you think about it from the Daleks' point of view. This is a very emotional episode. It is very emotional, as it believes it just believes it's the last of its kind, and it's just like, yeah, it kills a lot of people in this episode, but at the end of it, it just gives up. It knows it's the last of its kind. It knows it can't really do much. And it just gives up. And it's a very, very sad story. Like when I see, like, any sort of, like, other episodes with Daleks in them, I think of this episode. And I think of how this Dalek feels. Thinking that it's the last of its kind alive. And it's just like, it gives you like a certain perspective on the Daleks. Like, yes, the Daleks are built up to be like the evil of the whole Doctor Who universe. They're very, very iconic and they're so evil. But I think this one episode sheds a light on like what goes behind a Dalek's mind. I think it just sheds a light on it. I do really, really enjoy this episode. It is very, very nice morally and good characterization for the Doctor. And with that, we have completed the 9th Doctor's episodes. All 13 episodes are included on this list. So this is the 9th Doctor's. This is the 13 episodes and 10 storylined season. Compared to the other Doctors, after after the Ninth Doctor, he has the shortest tenure of being the Doctor, the shortest appearances as well. As the Doctor after him, the 10th Doctor, played by David Tennant, he had 47 episodes and 36 stories and 3 seasons. He had a tenure from 2005 to 2010. So this is the first impression that everyone got with the revival of the Doctor. And I have to say, it was a very mixed bag season. It was very mixed. As you can see, we do have a lot down here and we do have a lot here. But I think that it's the good and bad parts of the season are equal. There are some really good parts, but there's also some really bad parts of this season. I do believe that this is a good introduction to the Doctor Who season. It doesn't look perfect, it doesn't look seamless, it's messy in parts. It's good. It's like a proper TV show. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I do really enjoy the Doctor, especially its 3 top storylines in my opinion: the final storyline, the Empty Child storyline, and the Dalek storyline. The first episode was a good introduction to the series. The End of the World was a good second introduction to the series. The Unquiet Dead, forgettable. I'm sorry, I forgot about it. So yeah, it's a very mixed bag season, but I do recommend you guys watch the 9th Doctor season if you are interested and you like what I said. Because I do say this, if you're gonna watch Doctor Who, start when the revival started. Because if you watch the whole Doctor Who revival, you'll understand more about the Doctor. Of course, you can watch all the Doctors from before the revival. For instance, Tom Baker is one of the most famous Doctors before the revival, and he is still considered one of the best Doctors that we had. But yeah. Anyways, I may do a second episode to the series, looking at the 10th Doctor's episode. That episode would be a lot longer though, probably like possibly 2 hours, I will be honest. The 10th Doctor has a lot of things can be said about the 10th Doctor. It is one of the most well-liked Doctors in the whole series. And that is why he is returning. Ta-da! No one sees that coming. No one saw that coming. Actually, a lot of people predicted it, but hey. Anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and yeah. See you guys next time. Bye-bye. So this is sort of an update. The past week I have been rewatching Doctor Who, and I am ready to tell you guys if I've changed any of my opinions on this. So, let's get into it. Okay, so I'll be honest, I'd pretty much keep everything as it is. Because, yeah, I have opinions. I did this without rewatching the season. But I'll be honest, this is pretty much how I feel. Yeah. I'm thinking whether I should upgrade Rose. But Rose was a good introduction to Rose Tyler, which I enjoyed. World War III and Aliens of London, I still don't really like. Father's Day, no. Unquiet of Dead, I might actually put to bad. Because after rewatching it, I don't care for the episode at all. I don't. So I think that's like the only thing I would do. That's still on the fence there. I still do really like these episodes though. Especially Empty Child. After rewatching it, Empty Child's storyline is my favorite of the whole season. It's not the final like these, but it's my favorite. And Long Game, you know what? I'll put Long Game to okay. Long Game deserves the love it gets. I just don't really like the male companion in that episode. And the whole